Hello everyone, happy Tuesday. Thank you so much for your patience. Welcome to Much Ado About Gaming. My name is Jessa Blackthorne and I am so excited to be here today to talk to you about the WizKids fall schedule. We've got some cool games coming up this fall, and so I thought I would do a little, review. I kind of talked a little bit about it in my 2021 So Far stream a few weeks back, but I kind of wanted to get into all of the upcoming fall games. So you can kind of have a good sense of what they are, what they look like, that sort of thing. So I thought we'd have a fun little kind of chill stream today, just talk about the upcoming games and have a really good time doing it. I hope you're having a wonderful week. If you have any questions during the show, this is live, so of course you can put those questions right in the chat, type question in all caps, and then your question, and I'm trying to keep an eye on the chat. I may not be able to answer every question, but I will answer as many questions as I can. Another thing to keep in mind is this is a show about board games, so I can really only answer questions about board games, partially to keep focus on the show, but also because I am the board game person and I don't necessarily know as much about the other product lines. I do know about our RPG lines, and if you have questions about RPG product, tune in tomorrow to Model Behavior. That's going to be where you're going to hear about RPG product. We're doing something similar to this on Model Behavior tomorrow, which you will see. So questions for that I can answer during that show, but that show is pre-recorded, so I would be answering those questions in the chat. Ministry of Dice, thank you for tuning in. I am feeling much better, thank goodness. I was a mess. For those of you who don't watch the show on a regular basis, I was sick last week. I had been on and off sick the last couple weeks. I had just a really bad cold, and it just knocked me out. So I'm feeling better. I'm feeling great. Thank you so much for asking. But without any further ado, why don't we get into the show? I need to stop doing this clapping thing because I know it's probably a really annoying sound in the mic, so apologies for that. I decided that the category of the show is more of a board game news type of thing than it is a really... Oh, is that's it. Sorry, my camera's being a little weird. I thought this was more kind of a news show rather than a, feature presentation type show, so that's kind of the way I decided to do it. Give me just half a second here. And my streaming software updated, and so because of that, everything's a little bit weird right now. I'm going crazy making adjustments. That's why we started a little bit late today, because I had to everything now adjusts together, and it's very, very annoying. So, but anyway, we're not here to talk about my problems with the streaming software. What we're here to talk about is WizKids fall releases, and we've got some really great ones for you. Ministry of Dice, I'm actually not going to talk about Star Trek missions today. You can certainly check out information about that on WizKids.com. I will eventually do a show covering it, but that is not coming out in the next few months, so we are not covering, or rather, it's not coming out fall 2021, and so that is why we are not covering that, unless I'm losing my mind and it is coming out fall 2021, and now you've made me nervous. So, okay, it's not. You scared me there. I was like, maybe I screwed something up. But let's talk about the fall releases that are coming out in 2021. And we're going to start with the October releases. So, in October, we have Clash of Cultures Monumental Edition, which is coming out tomorrow, guys! Clash of Cultures Monumental Edition is coming out tomorrow. I am so excited about it. I cannot wait. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. And I've played it. I've fallen in love with it. I don't normally play kind of big, crunchy 4X games. Committing the time, committing the table space, not having the table space. I've played Clash of Cultures Monumental Edition, and I absolutely loved it. So if you are interested in Civilization games, if you have the previous edition of Clash of Cultures, but maybe you don't have the expansion, you don't have, you want the 3D printed components, or not 3D printed, rather, you want the, what is the word? The miniatures for the Wonders. If you want any of those types of things, if you are someone who loves Clash of Cultures, absolutely get Clash of Cultures Monumental Edition. You're going to love it. The other game coming out in October is Grease Lightning. I don't know why the slideshow is out of order. That's really weird. Very strange. Sorry. The other game that's coming out in October is Grease Lightning. That is coming out on December 20th. That is a week from tomorrow. So, Team Fresak, we are not going to be at Essen this year, unfortunately. I've heard rumors that the German edition might be available at Essen, but don't quote me on that because I'm not 100% sure. But I will find out, and if you follow me on Twitter, at @the_Blackthorne, I will post when I know the answer for sure if Clash of Cultures will be available at Essen in any capacity. I know WizKids is not going to be at Essen, but that I believe the game is going to be available. But let me check. Keep an eye on my Twitter, and that's where I will answer that question. But we also have Grease Lightning coming out. Grease Lightning is a super cool game, and I am so excited about this. So I interviewed the designer of Grease Lightning, Kathleen Mercury, way back a few months ago. She was awesome. She had some really interesting things to say about the design process behind this game, but it is a racing game where you're racing around a bunch of tiles on an ancient Greek trireme. But what's really cool about it is that the racing area, the track, is made up of different wedges, so it can change during the game. And there's also special favor of the gods cards, which can affect the gameplay of it, and it is so cool, and it looks amazing, and it's such a clever title too. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm really hoping that this is one that you all give a chance because it seems so cool. It's 2 to 4 players, ages 12 and up, and it plays in only 45 minutes, so it's a great game to bust out for a game night where you want to kind of play a couple different games. It's a nice, good length of time, and it looks really incredible. And it plays really incredible. And I mean, look at these pictures. They're gorgeous. So that's Grease Lightning. That is coming out on October 20th. And that, alongside Clash of Cultures, are our is hard to say, are our October releases. I really recommend you pick up Clash of Cultures. I really recommend you pick up Grease Lightning. You can still sort of probably pre-order it if you want to, since it's not coming out for another week. But check out both of them. They are both fantastic, and I think that you will enjoy both of them. I did not mention the player count for Clash of Cultures. It's 2 to 4 players, ages 14 and up. That one is a bit longer. It plays in about, I would say, 2.5 to 3 hours. Maybe even it can go up to like 4 hours, depending on how you play it. We played about half of a Clash of Cultures game. We actually posted about it on Twitter. I talked about this a little bit last week. But it took us about an hour and a half to play that half a game. So I guess it depends on your group, especially if you're like me and you have really bad analysis paralysis. It can probably take longer if everyone in your group has that same, like, I don't know what to do problem. It might take longer, but it is a great time. And so is Grease Lightning. Get them both. I interviewed both designers, I should mention. I interviewed and unboxed the game last week. I believe I unboxed the game. I think time has gone to non-existence since I was sick. But I believe I unboxed it last week, and then 2 weeks ago I interviewed the designer, Christian Markussen, and that was also really interesting. And then, like I said, I unboxed Grease Lightning a while back, and I interviewed Kathleen Mercury. You can find that in the YouTube videos on the YouTube channel for WizKids Games, or on the previous Twitch stream, so check those out if you're interested in either of those games. They're really interesting. Paul Alexander Butler, I love that sentiment. Clash of Cultures is the best Civ builder. I'll not be taking questions at this time. I feel you. And it is really great. I shouldn't say it's gonna be, because I've played it and I think it's really great, so you're probably gonna think it's really great if you're watching this. They're gonna be awesome. But let's move on to November. So our November 2021 is stacked. It is so many games are coming out. So many awesome games are coming up. The first game that we have coming up in November is Zombie Princess and the Enchanted Maze, coming out on November 3rd. This is a maze game where you are trying to escape a zombie princess who is trying to eat you and add you to her undead horde. She follows you around the maze. The players have the opportunity to control her. It is the goal of the game is to get you are one of a number of up to 4 or 5. I don't remember the exact number. I think it's 4, right? Yeah. 4 knights who are trying to rescue her, discover she's a zombie, and now are trying to escape the hedge maze and with her. And you do that by going across the maze, getting your key, and then escaping. And that is much more challenging than it sounds. And the story behind this game is really fascinating. A couple weeks ago, I recorded an interview with the designer. I'm going to be releasing that interview probably in the next 2 to 3 weeks. The show will be the pre-recorded interview with the designer, but it's so fascinating. It was his first game design, and the story behind how he got it to publication is just very, very cool, and the game is a lot of fun, so absolutely check this one out. Zombie Princess and the Enchanted Maze. It plays 2 to 5 players, ages 10 and up, and it plays in about an hour, so this is another one good for if you want to knock out a couple games on game night. And that's coming November 3rd. Next up, we have Super Skill Pinball Ramp It Up. So, if you're familiar with Super Skill Pinball, that was actually one of the first games we covered on this show was Super Skill Pinball 4K. This is a standalone sequel to Super Skill Pinball 4K. It's got all new pinball tables, new themes. It is gorgeous, and it's so exciting that we're able to release another one of these. Super Skill Pinball 4K was a huge hit, but Ramp It Up is even better. It adds ramps to the stuff. It has new bonus areas. It even has actually a co-op table option. So the 4 new tables in Super Skill Pinball Ramp It Up are Go for Gold, which introduces the new extra flipper and provides a great starting point for new players. Go for Gold is actually available as a free print and play on WizKids.com, so please head over there if you want to check out Go for Gold. Try it out, see how you like it. We did something similar for 4K, but we really wanted to do it for Ramp It Up as well, so that you can get a sense of how Ramp It Up... It's the same great game, but it does have a little bit of a different feel, so that's something to keep in mind. We also have Pin Pals, which is the co-op one that I have told you about. It's a wrestling kind of themed table, and you enter as tag teams of 2, and your teammates are scoring bonuses for each other. So if I'm scoring bonuses, those bonuses are going to my teammate and vice versa. So you really have to work together to make the most, to gain the most points. And that's what's really cool about the Pin Pals table. There's also High Roller Heist, which is kind of based on like a bank heist or a heist movie. And it's got 2 rounds only, and it's one of the fastest tables in the game. So you recruit your crew, you choose your target, and you execute your plan with 3 different possible options, represented by unique minigames on the back glass. So it's really cool. And then we have, as the last table, Top Speed, which is themed after a race car. And you get to increase the speed of it by adding 1, 2, or 3 to your dice rolls for big numbers and even bigger bonuses. But if you go too fast, you can actually go right through the flippers. So it's really about... Leonardo, hello, thank you for tuning in. It's really about determining whether you want to build that speed and add those numbers, and if it's going to be safe, or if you're gonna... It's kind of like a it's not quite push your luck, but it's similar in that you have to really make that judgment as you're going of how much is the safe amount to add to your dice rolls. I feel like it kind of expands on the tilt mechanic that we introduced in the first game, but it's gonna be fantastic. It looks incredible. I've seen it. I haven't had a chance to play any of the tables except for Pin Pals. I've played Pin Pals, and Pin Pals was a lot of fun. I'm gonna be playing I'm gonna maybe do a Go for Gold demo on the show. I'm hoping to be able to do something like that. but it's Super Skill Pinball Ramp It Up is going to be fantastic. If you're not familiar with 4K, you can absolutely pick it up, check it out. I absolutely recommend it. You can also watch my previous videos on 4K. They were some of the first videos on the show, so they're maybe not the show is maybe not as organized as it is now, but I did interview the designer Jeff Engelstein earlier for that game, so check that out if you're interested. Definitely worth it. The next game we're going to talk about, I keep forgetting to mention, this is 2 to 4 players, 12 and up. It plays in 30 minutes, and it's $24.99. I did not mention the prices of the other 2 games. Let me do that. Or the other 3 games I've mentioned. Let me do that really quick. Zombie Princess and the Enchanted Maze, which is coming out on November 3rd, is $39.99. And then Grease Lightning, which is coming out on October 20th, is $34.99. Clash of Cultures Monumental Edition, which is coming out tomorrow, is $149.99, and they're all worth it. Every penny. Fantastic games. Next up, we have Bequest. Now, Bequest has been very highly anticipated, and if you check it out, you'll see why. It's got a really interesting twist on a combination of set collection mechanics and I cut, you choose mechanics. So, as you can see, the images next to me are cycling through all the games, so I'll point out when it goes to Bequest. But in Bequest, you are fighting for the inheritance of an evil supervillain who has passed on and has left his entire fortune to whoever whoever comes out on top on fighting on the different I'm having trouble finding the correct words to explain this. Whoever can kind of defeat their other opponents. So that sounds like a basic game, so that I'm doing a bad job wording this. But basically the idea is that you're trying to split up the assets while collecting the best assets for yourself. And there's a lot of cool themed villains in the game. So the way you do it is every round, every player gets a hand of 5 cards that they need to split with their neighbor, which represents some of Dr. Schism. He is the passed on supervillain, representing some of his assets. So it could be treasure, gadgets, the deeds to hideouts, or even evidence of his misdeeds. So what you do is you decide how to split the 5 cards, but your neighbor gets to choose which pile. So that's classic I cut, you choose mechanics. But then you're also kind of bringing in set collection elements as well, because you have to, you're splitting the cards on both sides. So you choose one set from your neighbor, and your other neighbor chooses one from you. There are a bunch of different ways to score points based on the different asset types, and that's where the set collection elements come in as well. And I also want to point out that the illustrations in this game are absolutely gorgeous. And it's really a lot of fun. I haven't had a chance to play it yet. I've only kind of seen playthroughs of it, and it's one that I'm hoping to get to the table very soon. Bequest is coming out later in November. I don't have an exact date for that. It's the same with Super Skill Pinball Ramp It Up. That's why I didn't mention a date. It is $49.99. It plays 3 to 6 players, ages 10 and up, in 30 minutes. You're going to be seeing both videos for this game and reviews for this game coming soon, and they will probably do a better job than me of explaining the gameplay, but absolutely check those out, because Bequest is one that we're very, very excited about. One that I think it's going to be a big hit. We're going to unbox it soon. You're going to see all of the glorious things. They have really fun themed supervillains too, which are really great, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And then, of course, I confused myself. The last game coming out in November this year is D&D Dungeon Scrawlers. So this is one that is so fun and clever. I demoed this a while ago, and it is super cute. So it's a maze racing game where you take on one of the classes in D&D, and you use the abilities of those classes to affect how you go through the maze. So as it's like a card, and then you have the markers, so similar to Super Skill Pinball in that way, and you're trying to draw your way through the maze excuse me, by doing different things. So you have to, there's certain spots where you'll have to collect treasure, defeat enemies, cast spells, and just do a couple different things, and that's going to affect how you get to the maze. But the different classes have different ways of making it possibly easier for you to get through certain challenges in the maze, or possibly, bypass them altogether. It's really, really cool. So there's 5 characters in the game, which each have a thematic ability to help them collect one type of points more easily as they draw their line through the maze. So for example, like monsters or treasure, you need to actually completely knock them out with the marker, so you need to cover them, which takes more time than you think it does. But rogues, for example, only need to touch treasure, and barbarians only need to fill in the monsters' heads to defeat them. So it adds... Oh, there are no pictures of D&D Dungeons? What? Oh no! Hang on. I will save the day. Give me a moment. Give me just one moment and I will add those. I'm so sorry. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. What's weird is it's showing me that they're there, so it's weird that you're not seeing them. Okay, wait. Dungeon Scrawlers might be coming now because it looks like it's showing ones that it wasn't before. Hang on. I'm going to do this. There, it's showing them now. I'm sorry. I don't know what it was doing. That's very, very weird. Shere Khan, thank you for bringing that to my attention. But, so yeah, you can kind of see, you cover up the enemies, but barbarians only need to cover up their heads. And you also have to not take your marker off the surface the entire time, and you're trying to not hit walls as well. So that adds a little bit more of a challenge to it. And if you're like me and have awful dexterity, it makes the game more challenging, but I still won every time I've played. So even if you have bad dexterity, it's not a death sentence. You can still win the game like I did. So you believe in yourself. I believe in you. But there's 10 unique mazes of increasing complexity, which introduce new challenges as you go, including portals, locked doors, multiple bosses, time limits, and more. And there are multiple paths to go through each maze with over 100 different 3-maze combinations, because you play 3 mazes in a game. So the game is just incredibly replayable, and it's so much fun. Absolutely one that I would recommend you picking up, pre-ordering. We're going to unbox it very soon on the show as well. And that is $24.99, 2 to 4 players, and it plays in about 15 minutes. So it's super quick too, so you could get in multiple games in like an hour and have them be different every other time. And then we are going to move on, and that one is coming out in November as well. And so now we are going to move on to our December release. We only have one December release this year, and that is Detective Rummy. And so this one is actually probably going to be late December. It might even be closer to January. As you know, the global shipping situation is a mess right now. So it's very challenging to get things on a reliable schedule. And so I just, as a, disclaimer, this may be very late December, January, but we're hoping for December. Fingers crossed. It just depends on the shipping logistics, which are unpredictable at the moment, unfortunately. And it sucks. But all we can do is talk about how great these games are because they deserve the love. GM Workshop, Dungeon Scrawlers is ages 10 and up. It's really great for like a family game night. It says ages 10 and up. It could probably skew younger, but because of the markers, it says 10 and up on the packaging. But it's such a fun little game, and it's great, especially if you as a kid, if you played Highlights Magazine, if you remember that, and they had the mazes in them. It's similar to that, but it adds new strategic elements to it, which makes it extra fun. But anyway, in December, we have coming to you Detective Rummy. I am so excited about this. I love noir mystery themes. Turbo Sleuth, if you remember, I was really excited about that, and I had a lot of fun with that. Detective Rummy has that same vibe, and it breathes new life into Mike Fitzgerald's classic mystery rummy game with 7 all-new cases, as well as an interconnected campaign, which is a new element that we have added for this release. So Detective Rummy is a Rummy-style card game for 2 to 4 players that has a storytelling element revealed in a series of 7 different cases. Players take on the role of detectives vying to solve the cases and gain fame. And so the setting on this, the theming on this is so beautiful. It's a noir setting, and the story begins at the legendary Rummy Detective Agency, where each case takes you to various locations to solve a crime, including a diner with the best donuts in town, the cozy quarter to 3 bar, a ritzy fashion emporium, the circus, the most elite jazz nightclub in town, and more. So it's very, very thematic. We don't have photos of this yet, so what you're seeing in the images is really all we have in terms of imagery right now. We have a little bit more, which you can check out if you go to WizKids.com and look at the page for the game. But there are also 2 different modes that you can play the game in. You can play the game in campaign mode, or you can play the game in standalone mode, or rather case mode. Campaign mode lets you play all 7 cases in order, but then in case mode, you can play, there are 4 cases, 5 cases, I can count, I can do math. You can play cases 2 to 6 as standalone Detective Rummy games, one at a time. So if you want to commit the time to a whole campaign, you can do that. If you just want to play any of the cases by themselves, cases 2 to 6 are all available as standalones. 1 and 7 are designed for the campaign mode, so you can't really play them by themselves. But the game is still incredibly replayable. Even if you've played all the cases. There are new game changer cards that are incorporated with this game that are discovered in a different order, or maybe not at all every time you play. So that means that the cases will never actually resolve the same way twice, which allows you to play both the campaign mode and the individual cases as many times as you like, because it will always be different. So it uses those classic mechanics from Rummy that you'll be familiar with if you've played Rummy, but it adds so many new elements, and the setting and the theme, it's just absolutely incredible. It has a ton of components too. We're definitely going to unbox this one when I have a copy to unbox, and it is $64.99. It is coming, like I said, hopefully December. Fingers crossed that shipping cooperates. It is 2 to 4 players, ages 14 and up, and it plays in 45 to 60 minutes for the campaign mode. A little bit shorter for the standalones, so figure, divide that by, I don't do math, divide that by 7, and that'll be how long a single thing will play. But those are the WizKids fall releases. So those are all the major upcoming releases that you have to look forward to in terms of board games for the fall. I can't speak to releases in any other product lines, unfortunately. I'm sorry. I wish I could, wish I could give you the schedule for everything ever. But keep an eye on our social media, keep an eye on our website. Those are going to be the best places to find out the schedules of releases for any of the other products. But with that, thank you so much for tuning in. Just as a reminder, Clash of Cultures Monumental Edition coming out tomorrow. Absolutely pick it up. It's going to be so much fun. Definitely also tune in for Model Behavior tomorrow, where I'm going to be talking about our D&D fall releases. So definitely check that out. That'll be at noon tomorrow. That is a pre-recorded show, but please tune in because it's going to be a lot of fun. I have some cool things to show you. I hope that you have a great day. I hope you have a great week. I love you. WizKids loves you. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day. Bye!